We often see ourselves as one steady identity, a single me that stays the same in every situation. But if you look closer, you'll notice that your thoughts, choices, and reactions can shift depending on where you are and what's happening. Sometimes you take charge and make decisions. Other times, you prefer to listen, support, or observe. You might surprise yourself by acting confident one moment and cautious the next. These shifts aren't random. They come from deeper patterns within you, patterns that guide how you think and behave. Carl Jung called these patterns archetypes. They're not roles you choose, but parts of human nature that live in everyone to different degrees. Each archetype represents a core way of seeing the world and responding to it. You don't just have one, you have all 9 of them. They work together, sometimes in harmony, sometimes in tension, shaping your personality and perspective. Still, one archetype usually stands out. It becomes your main voice, the one that most influences your choices, your habits, and your view of life. That dominant pattern helps define how you express yourself, what you value, and how you connect with the world. Understanding these archetypes isn't about putting yourself in a box. It's about recognizing that you're made up of many sides, and that knowing them can help you live with more awareness and balance. Archetypes are basic patterns that shape how people think, feel, and act. They aren't made-up ideas or personality tests. They're recurring ways of being that have appeared in human behavior for as long as people have interacted, learned, and created. Think of them as mental frameworks, invisible outlines that guide how we respond to life. They influence what we notice, what we value, and how we approach problems. Each archetype carries a set of motivations, strengths, and challenges. For example, one part of you might crave structure and control. Another part might long for freedom and exploration. Another may feel a strong pull to protect, teach, or create. None of these parts are wrong. They simply express different aspects of human nature. Archetypes don't limit you. They reveal possibilities within you. They help explain why certain choices feel natural, while others feel forced. They show why people approach similar situations in completely different ways. You can think of them as internal voices, each one offering a different perspective. When one archetype becomes dominant, it often sets the tone for your decisions and actions. But the others never disappear. They step forward when the situation calls for them. Understanding archetypes gives language to what you already sense about yourself. It helps you notice patterns instead of reacting automatically. It allows you to understand not just who you are, but how you operate. Before we explore each type, it helps to remember this. No one is defined by a single pattern. Each of us carries all 9 archetypes within us, some strong, some quiet, some that appear only in certain moments. They're not fixed roles, but shifting influences that shape how we think, decide, and relate to the world. Knowing them helps you see the many parts that make you who you are, and understand which one tends to lead your choices. Let's look at each archetype more closely. Type 1. The ruler. The one who brings order. The ruler seeks structure, direction, and control. This part of you wants things to be stable and organized, where plans are clear and responsibilities are understood. I feel most at ease when things are organized and under control. I believe that clear direction brings security and progress. When plans fall apart, I naturally step in to create order. I think in terms of structure, what needs to be done, who should do it, and how to make it last. I take responsibility seriously. I like things to work efficiently and predictably. But sometimes I can become too focused on rules or outcomes. My challenge is to remember that not everything needs control. that trust and flexibility can also lead to stability. Type 2. The creator, the one who builds what doesn't yet exist. The creator is driven by imagination and the urge to make something meaningful. This part of you thrives when ideas become real, through design, writing, building, or shaping something new. My mind is full of ideas, images, and possibilities. I feel most alive when I'm making something new or improving something old. I want to express what I imagine, to build, shape, or design something that reflects thought and meaning. I value originality, inspiration, and growth. I see problems as opportunities to invent better ways, but I can get lost in endless planning or self-doubt, afraid something isn't perfect yet. My challenge is learning to finish, share, and let others experience what I create, even if it's not flawless. Type 3. The caregiver, the one who supports and protects. The caregiver focuses on compassion, service, and safety. This side of you feels fulfilled when you help, guide, or nurture others towards stability and comfort. I notice the needs around me before anyone asks. Helping comes naturally. I want others to feel safe, supported, and valued. I find purpose in being dependable and kind. I'm happiest when I can ease someone's burden or guide them through difficulty. I believe compassion can repair almost anything, but sometimes I forget my own limits and give more than I can afford. My challenge is to remember that care must include myself too, that balance makes kindness stronger. Type 4. The explorer, the one who seeks what's beyond the familiar. The explorer is drawn to growth, change, and discovery. This part of you learns best through experience and thrives when trying something new. I'm drawn to what's new, unfamiliar, or undiscovered. Routine can make me restless. I crave change and personal discovery. I'm curious about what lies beyond comfort, not just places, but ideas, perspectives, and experiences. Freedom matters to me. I like to test limits and find out who I am through experience. I respect authenticity more than approval, but I can lose focus or drift without direction. My challenge is to bring my discoveries back, to turn exploration into learning and growth. Type 5. The sage, the one who seeks understanding. The sage values truth, logic, and learning. This part of you wants clarity, knowledge, and insight, to understand how and why things work. I want to understand the truth beneath appearances. I question assumptions, test ideas, and look for patterns that make sense. Knowledge feels like clarity. It turns confusion into order. I enjoy observing, analyzing, and connecting facts. I believe wisdom is built through patience, curiosity, and reason. But I can get stuck in thought, analyzing instead of acting. My challenge is to balance insight with experience, to live what I know, not just think about it. Type 6. The hero, the one who strives and overcomes. The hero is driven by courage, strength, and determination. This side of you faces obstacles directly and finds meaning in effort and progress. I believe in effort, courage, and persistence. Challenges don't scare me. They motivate me. When faced with difficulty, I focus on solutions and take action. I want to make a difference, to prove that strength and commitment matter. I'm energized by progress and achievement. But I can forget to rest or measure my worth only by results. My challenge is to learn that true strength includes balance, empathy, and resilience, not just victory. Type 7. The innocent, the one who believes in goodness. The innocent holds on to hope, honesty, and simplicity. This part of you believes in what's right and seeks to live with sincerity and lightness. I look for the good in people and situations. I want life to make sense and to be guided by honesty and simplicity. I believe things can improve if we act with good intention. I value hope, trust, and sincerity. Even in uncertainty, I try to see what's right and possible, but I can be unprepared for complexity or disappointment. My challenge is to stay hopeful while facing reality, to keep my optimism grounded in awareness. Type 8. The rebel, the one who challenges and changes. The rebel questions what doesn't work and pushes against limitations. This part of you seeks truth through disruption and wants systems to serve people better. I notice when something isn't fair or when systems stop serving people. I question what others accept without thinking. I'm not afraid to disrupt habits or traditions that no longer work. Change excites me. It opens the door to progress and renewal. I believe transformation begins with honesty and courage. But I can become too focused on opposition and forget the purpose behind it. My challenge is to rebuild after breaking, to use my boldness to create, not just to challenge. Type 9. The every person, the one who connects and belongs. The every person values equality, honesty, and shared experience. This part of you feels strongest when surrounded by fairness, trust, and community. I believe everyone deserves respect, belonging, and understanding. I value fairness and connection, the feeling that we're all part of something shared. I relate easily to others because I see myself as one of them. I don't need to stand above anyone. I want to stand with them. I appreciate honesty, effort, and teamwork. But sometimes I hide my individuality to fit in. My challenge is to stay genuine while staying connected, to belong without losing myself. You are never just one type. Each archetype lives within you, quietly shaping how you see the world and how you respond to it. Sometimes one voice leads, other times another takes over for a while. When you take charge, your ruler might be speaking. When you're lost in a new idea, that's your creator. When you step in to help, your caregiver takes the lead. When you crave something new, your explorer stirs. When you question and study, your sage comes forward. When you push through struggle, your hero shines. When you hold on to hope, your innocent speaks up. When you challenge what's unfair, your rebel rises. And when you simply connect and belong, your every person is at work. All of them serve a purpose. Each brings strength, balance, and meaning, depending on the moment. Together, they form the full pattern of who you are. Your dominant archetype often feels the most natural. It's the one that guides your main approach to life, the one that influences your goals, your habits, and your decisions. But it's not the only one that matters. The others support, balance, and sometimes even challenge it, helping you grow in ways you wouldn't on your own. For example, too much control from the ruler might need the freedom of the explorer. Endless creation from the creator might need the logic of the sage. Constant giving from the caregiver might need the boundaries of the ruler or the self-awareness of the every person. Every archetype has a partner, another side that keeps it from taking over completely. When you recognize how these patterns move within you, you stop reacting blindly. You start choosing which voice to listen to. You see when one part of you is helping, and when another is holding you back. You begin to understand your balance, the quiet teamwork that makes you whole. The goal isn't to silence any archetype. It's to let them cooperate. Each one holds a kind of wisdom that the others need. And when they work together, you feel more grounded, capable, and aware. Every person has one archetype that feels stronger than the rest. It shows up in the choices you make, the habits you keep, and the values that guide you. You might not notice it at first because it feels natural, like the air you move through. To find it, start by asking yourself a few simple questions. What drives me? What do I care about most when I make decisions? What patterns keep repeating in my life, no matter the situation? Listen to what you say when you face pressure. Do you try to take control? You may lead with the ruler. Do you look for a new way to solve the problem? You may lean toward the creator. Do you want to make sure everyone is okay first? That's the caregiver at work. Do you crave space, adventure, or change? The explorer might be guiding you. Do you start analyzing, asking questions, or searching for truth? The sage could be in charge. Do you feel ready to fight through challenge or protect what matters? That's the hero rising. Do you hold on to belief that things will work out? The innocent may be your center. Do you feel the urge to question the rules? The rebel might be leading. Do you look for fairness, connection, and belonging? The every person could be your main voice. Pay attention to what gives you energy. Your dominant archetype often appears in moments when you feel most alive, focused, and clear. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's steady, quiet, and consistent. It guides your motivation even when you don't think about it. You'll also notice that other archetypes support it. For example, your hero might rely on the sage to plan before acting. Your caregiver might draw strength from the ruler to set limits. Your creator might need the explorer to stay inspired. The balance between them shows how your personality adapts and grows. Understanding your dominant archetype isn't about limiting yourself, it's about clarity. When you know what truly drives you, your decisions start to make more sense. You understand why certain goals feel right and why others don't. You learn how to use your main strengths with more awareness and how to grow where you're less balanced. The more you recognize your patterns, the easier it becomes to guide them, instead of being guided by them. And that's the real power of self-awareness, not changing who you are, but knowing how to use every part of you with intention. Knowing your archetypes is not just about naming them, it's about learning how to grow through them. Each one holds a unique kind of wisdom, and when you understand how they work together, you can move through life with more balance and purpose. Growth begins with awareness. When you notice which archetype is leading, you start to see patterns in your behavior. You see why you react a certain way, why you're drawn to certain roles, and why some challenges repeat. This understanding gives you space to choose instead of just react. Your dominant archetype gives you direction. It helps you understand what drives your energy and what brings you meaning. But growth happens when you also learn from the others, especially the ones you use the least. If your ruler is strong, growth might mean learning to let go, to trust others, and to allow change. If your creator leads, growth could mean turning ideas into action and finishing what you start. If your caregiver takes charge, it may mean setting boundaries and remembering your own needs. If your explorer dominates, balance might come from staying focused long enough to build something lasting. If your sage is strongest, growth may come from acting on what you already know instead of thinking endlessly. If your hero leads, you might grow by slowing down, realizing that rest and reflection are also forms of strength. If your innocent guides you, learning to face reality without losing hope becomes key. If your rebel stands out, growth could mean building after breaking, turning challenge into creation. If your every person is central, growth might mean standing out when needed, even if it feels uncomfortable. Every archetype teaches a skill that another needs. They balance each other like different sides of a circle. No one complete without the rest. The goal isn't to become perfect, it's to become whole. You can use this awareness in your daily life. When you face a problem, pause and ask, which archetype is leading right now? Is it helping? Or is another one better suited for this moment? That question alone can shift how you think, decide, and act. Growth through archetypes is a quiet process. It's not about forcing change, but recognizing possibilities. As you learn to use each archetype with awareness, you build flexibility, the ability to respond to life in more than one way. That's what makes a person resilient, not having all the answers, but knowing which part of themselves to call on when life changes. Over time, you'll see that growth isn't about adding more, it's about balance. When the ruler and the rebel can coexist, when the caregiver and the hero can share the same space, when the sage listens to the innocent, that's when you begin to live as a complete, integrated self. You are not a single pattern. You are not one story, one mood, or one idea of who you are. You are a collection of voices, each shaped by time, experience, and choice. Each one steps forward when life calls for it, and each one steps back when its work is done. Inside you lives a mix of patterns that form your sense of self. There is a part that leads and organizes, that brings order when things feel uncertain. There is a part that builds and imagines, that turns thoughts into form and ideas into action. There is a part that gives and protects, that finds purpose in kindness and care. There is a part that explores and questions, that needs freedom, discovery, and space to grow. There is a part that studies and understands, that looks for reason, logic, and clarity. There is a part that fights through challenge, that shows strength when life becomes heavy. There is a part that believes, that sees light even when things seem unclear. There is a part that questions, that resists what limits growth and asks, can this be better? And there is a part that connects, that reminds you that you belong, even when you feel alone. All of these parts are you. Not one of them is the whole picture, yet none of them are separate. They rise and fade, combine and shift, shaping how you think, act, and respond. Sometimes one voice leads for years. It becomes your way of living, your rhythm. But life changes. New challenges arrive. Different sides of you wake up and begin to take part. That's how you grow, not by becoming someone new, but by allowing more of yourself to be seen. You might notice how one archetype balances another. The part that builds structure learns from the part that welcomes change. The one that gives learns from the one that sets boundaries. The one that questions learns from the one that trusts. The one that seeks truth learns from the one that feels. Every side of you carries a lesson that another needs. So when you ask, "Who am I?" remember, there isn't one single reply. You are a blend of structure and creativity, of reason and emotion, of courage and care. You are curiosity and stability, questioning and faith, individuality and belonging. All of them together make you whole,